Hi everyone, I thought I'd do a video to show you how things are progressing in the garden, and everything is really growing since we've had so much heat this summer. So in front of the house you can see our main area here on our terrace. I planted the cannas. These are the ones from last year that actually stayed in the ground, and the ones that I dug up, I'm sorry, didn't grow very well, but these ones seem to grow pretty well, and they're actually taller than me now, and they have tons of flower stems coming up. And then that one's the giant bird of paradise, and it's not doing great, so I think I'm gonna have to pot it back up and keep it inside during the winter, of course. But anyways, that'll be for fall. This is the area with my climbing clematis. I think I have 3 here. And then the climbing roses. So it's a nice little archway that's been filling up with the greenery here. And then this is our side terrace with our greenhouse. And then Alex just started this project the other day to put a gate around so that Penny can go outside. So that's pretty nice too. You can see I added a tropical vibe with the Hedichiums, and there's even a Gloriosa lily. I don't know if you could see it. My bougainvilleas are inside. I have an avocado tree. And then my rubellini started sending out some flowers. So a little pod, and the pod is kind of open now. You can see little tiny flowers there, but nothing big yet. But here's the terrace. I have a little basin with my colocaceas, a mojito, blue Hawaii, some papyrus, and an acornis. And I even have some water canna thalia, but have not done anything. My Bergmansia grew a second stem, so that was nice, and it flowered, and then the main stem branched off in 4 places, so that's pretty cool. But you could see it's a gorgeous morning. I'm looking in the camera, and the trees look way more yellow. They look green to me without the camera, but it could be the light from the sun. And then I have a section here which was dedicated to my parents. They stayed up in our guest apartment. So I had bought some taro edos from Costa Rica, or colocasia, and they got pretty big. Right now the flowers are starting to yellow. I'm not sure why. The leaves, sorry. But I have some caladiums down there and some sage or salvia, which is really spreading out nicely. Oh yeah, the sun is just beautiful coming up like that over the trees. So I want to give a huge shout out to Tracy from Gone Tropical. She has an amazing garden, and that's what inspired me to do mine tropical. Her and George from George's Jungle Garden in the UK. So a lot of people in the UK have tropical gardens, and I decided, why not? I'm gonna do mine too here in the French countryside. Why not tropical? I'm a tropical girl. I love all things tropical and islands. So I think this year, when I started in April, I created a lot of new spaces. There I am. Hi. Hi, everybody. Look how green it looks. Wow. This is like the perfect time of day to do filming. So right there on the pergola, there's a trap for hornets, and there's a hornet that's right there, and then there's tons of hornets. It's like filled up with hornets. It's crazy. They're swimming. Whoa. And I honestly, I can't stand hornets. If it's yellow jackets or bees or bumblebees or some other kind of flying insects, okay, I'm fine with it. But hornets, I start running and I scream. So I'm trying not to scream so much, but anyways, I don't like hornets. This one, can you see that? Let's just take a moment and appreciate that sun coming up over the trees. That's the forest behind us. It's just a private forest, so there's nothing there except for maybe hunters. But look at my red banana It's just really crazy how much it's growing. This one I think is the most. It's not a zebra, maybe red tiger or a red skimmias, but I actually bought it online. I bought like 10 banana plants online, and this is the biggest one of all, and it's actually, what did I buy it at, 50 or 60 centimeters with no leaves. So you can see it already has 3 babies on the side, and one of the babies is almost as big as the main plant. So, but look at that leaf. I mean, that's just huge. And it's so pretty, it's so perfect. Here is a zone of tropical and mixed because I have my weeping cherry tree, which is ornamental, Japanese sakura. And then I put in a Cavendish banana because I thought, hey, why not? I can put it away in the winter, either bring it inside or put it in the greenhouse. But it would be nice to have actual bananas to eat and not just bananas to look at, because all the other bananas, which are hardy, do not give edible fruits. So thought I'd try. Somewhere in there is a water basin for a natural pond kind of thing, element for the bees and for the wasps and for birds occasionally come by, but just little insects that love to drink the water when it's hot. And then you can see the different patches of colocasia. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, places that I planted, but they're actually stemming out really nicely with lots of leaves. Still little, but lots of leaves. And then there's my bamboo, and then lots of crocosmias, and then a cosmos that decided to volunteer. I have my phormium, which is really big now, taking up a lot of space, but really gorgeous. And then I planted castor from seed. I planted 6. 3 survived. The 2 big ones, and then the small one, because I had potted it up when it was, the slugs were munching on my castors. So this is ricinus. I think that's how you pronounce it. But anyways, I'll get some seeds. It's the purple one from New Zealand. And I think I just did see some seeds that were forming down below. So, oops, sorry for the camera movement. But yeah, so I have some seeds to use for next season. It's annual here because it doesn't stay warm enough in the winter, and so it'll die back, and then I'll just replant. Here is my section that involves about 5 Japanese maples, which are really pretty. I have different ones, and then they have a lot of fall interest. So this area is a tropical zone here because I have a lot of tropical plants on the other side. And here I have my agapanthus. I have lots of things you might notice as strawberry plants. That's because I'm using them as fillers and ground cover. They seem to spread pretty well. And let's see. Oh, I forgot to mention, hello, I have a banana plant here. I have a banana plant here next to some Stuttgart cannas, which are now my favorite. And I did plant cannas from seed all along the side here. And I see one is in bloom. Let me go down here. Wow, how pretty. That's a nice creamy vanilla one. And then here is a red tiger. That one's starting to grow, but you can see the view of the cannas are just magnificent. And this is an ornamental cherry, and so is this one, and the colors are a little bit different, but those are really pretty in the spring. And then this is part of my Japanese garden, so it's like a Japanese tropical garden, because in Japan there are definitely tropical regions and hot regions where you can grow tropicals. So this is my walking path, which I decided to let it get filled up with ground cover because I have no more wood chips to cover it with. Since this is my first video, I don't know if I'm filming it good, so you'll have to excuse the camera movements. I'm trying to do it slow. I have miscanthus, beautiful shoots that are coming up now of their flowers, which aren't really flowers, they're seeds, but it makes beautiful interest in the winter. You can see I'm a person who loves ornamental grasses. And then my wisteria. If anyone's interested in building or creating shade space in their garden, these shade sails are just fantastic. So this is a section that I wanted to create like a labyrinth to walk through, kind of like a maze, and with annual flowers, but I did plant some blue bamboo there, which is really small, and I planted my palm trees in the middle. So I have a trachycarpus, and then here's my yellow lotus banana, which is fantastic, and it has really cool yellow flower when it blooms, but this one's new to me, so it's not going to bloom this season. And then here's some begun plant. It's a climbing plant, but it looks very tropical with its trumpet flowers. Carpenter bee flying by. I have pineapple sage. I have, oh, there's so many plants that I forget the name off the top of my head, but the salvias. And there's my, my mind just went blank. It's too early. Some of you will know these plants. I forget the lilies. Those are one of my favorites. And then here's foxtail. It makes a lovely flower. And then my salvias. I have 2 light purples, and then I believe this one to be the Amistad salvia. It gets really tall. And then I have a lot of yarrow. And what I like about this yarrow, the pink one, is that it comes in 3 shades of pink. It just goes from like kind of white to light pale pink to a darker pink. So it's like you have a variety of pinks. And then I have a really cool phlox, new this year, but this phlox, and shout out to Farmer Gracie, because I had a lot of Farmer Gracie bulbs in the UK, and they get their bulbs from the Netherlands. So here's another beautiful hardy banana. This one's the tiger also, the red tiger. And then we created a trellis to provide protection from the wind and also shade when the climbing plants grow. And so I have like 4 different types of climbing plants, maybe even more. I have clematis, I have acabia, I have passion flower, and it seems like the geraniums are also climbing up to a certain height. And oh, and I did put in a Spanish bean that's ornamental that I had planted. Here's those beautiful leaves. And this, I have a lot of coreopsis, which is an annual plant, but it reseeds itself very easily through these seed pods, or seeds, not pods, but seeds just go everywhere. So I've been seeding it. And there's a carpenter bee. I used to think these were black bumblebees, but they're actually carpenter bees. And they just love a lot of the plants. This is my Carl Foster grass, which I love. It's just really pretty, and it blows lightly in the wind. And then this is a tropical section. I have to dedicate this section because the 2 people that really helped me being role models, and not physical mentors because I don't know them, but in the UK, George and Tracy in Neath, who's in Wales, and George is in Lincolnshire. But these 2 YouTubers really helped me with ideas and showing their gardens and giving lots of really important information. So, I mean, imagine like watching YouTube for 2 years and then saying, hey, I could do this in my garden. Why not? If they could do it, we're in the same climate zone, then why not? And so what I did in the spring is I made this whole area, I created it as a raised bed. And then after that, I added lots of good stuff to it, like, let's see, it was manure, horse manure, and soil mixed together, and then lots of good stuff. And then I just started adding plants, and I added maybe about 5 Fatsia japonica plants, and I had the green fingers, I have the spider with the variegated leaves, or maybe not variegated, but the white leaves, and then the normal Fatsias, and those are hardy, and then even a tiny Schefflera, which isn't really doing much, but I see that the stem is growing a bit, but that I got very small. I can't get a hold of a bigger one. And then I have the heucheras, the really beautiful leaves of these heucheras of different colors, and I tried to make them color coordinated so they match, like the phormiums and the cordylines. And here I have a green anceti, which is not hardy. So the 2 banana plants that I have that are not hardy, I will dig them up and put them in the greenhouse this year. So, and then a beautiful spider just hanging out with its beautiful orb web. And then down here I have a small, very small feijoa, which is a guava. And then I have a bigger one here, which will grow pretty tall. So I can't wait to see if I get some fruit, guava fruit, because that's one of my favorites. And I just have a lot of different plants in here. There's sweet potato, which is ornamental, and this is just making its way all around as ground cover, which is really cool. And another thing which I just tried as an experiment was to plant some papaya seeds of the papayas that I ate, because I love papayas. So here are some papayas, but they're definitely not growing, and I don't think we have the right conditions for them to grow tall. So I thought I could try, and it didn't really work too well, but it's always good to try. My nasturtium, which was being devoured by these flea beetles, just covered, they've actually grown back. So that's pretty cool. I have geranium. I have Phormium tenax. I have a red star cordyline over there. And this is an Andina, which is really pretty. It gets to be a shrub. And I have other small plants. I have sedum down there, which is a nice ground cover. And it has like little tiny star flowers. And then I have a lot of lilies, which have died off. But I did have something really cool. I had a pineapple lilies for the first time, and they're still in their form of pineapples, so you can see that's just really cool. Like, I can't have pineapples, but I could have pineapple lilies. And there's one down there which is purple, but it didn't make a flower, so I guess I'll wait till next year. I have geraniums. I have pineapple sage, which is gorgeous, and I did forget this one, the name, but George told me about this on his video, so I went out and ordered one, and I'm not disappointed at all. And then let me get past here. I'm going to walk into the river. But here's some more of that ornamental sweet potato growing with the other color. And then I have the scented geranium was over here. I have a rhododendron, some coleus that was not destroyed by the slugs. Slugs invade in certain periods. And you can see the fuchsias growing with the coleus, really pretty color. And then some colocaceas. I have ferns back there. And more euchera. This one has grown really tall. My Japanese acer, and the other one I actually killed. So sadly, there's one that's dead here, and I just kept it in to see if it will regrow, but I doubt it. I have salvia here. I have so many different plants that they're all kind of hidden now. I did kill a plant over there. It was suffocated by Queen Anne's lace, so if anybody has Queen Anne's lace growing in their plants, take it out, because I think the roots just took all the nutrients, because it did not do well. It was a Vagelia, like this one. This one's a variegated one. That one was a normal one, but it was doing really well until it wasn't. And there's those beautiful lilies. And coming out of the river, I have another trachycarpus in between there. And let's walk through. I have some wild grasses that are just growing, and I just let them grow. But here's a type of gladiola, which is really pretty, and it has an interesting scent. Smells like suntan lotion. And then this one, I forgot the name, but it makes berries that taste like caramel. And you can see the berries. But this is really nice because it's been acting as shade for my lower plants. So you can see the flowers here. And then the trellis, you can see the things that are growing slowly but surely. And I'm coming back around here. And here goes the bananas. And then in this little pond, natural pond, there's a frog. I've seen it, and I added a second frog, so hopefully they're both still in there. I would like to have little babies, but I forget the name of those little tiny green plants that grow on the surface. But here's the banana. Look how lovely that is. This is in its 3rd year. We protected the height over the winter. You could kind of see where the brown spots are there. That was the height, and then it's grown all of this extra. So next year it should be really tall. I'm going to try to keep the height again. It's sending out huge rollers, but it's just spectacular. And then I have a soul crevette, which I believe it's a weeping calyx. I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure. It's not a willow, but I do have a weeping cherry, and that sends out beautiful flowers in the spring. You can see it's graft, and then that part is the part under the graft. Snowball boule de neige, verbena, it's pink, really pretty flowers. And then the cherry, it's like, I want to say it's 10 or 12 feet tall now, and those are just the branches because the trunk is about 20 centimeters. It's not very big. Lots of geraniums, and then hibiscus. I have so many plants here, I don't know that I could show them all. I have a magnolia, some spirea, and then I have a little potager here with tomatoes and zucchini and green beans. I have sweet potato corn, potatoes, onions, and peppers. And then I have a few raspberry bushes and black currant. So this is, I did a little potager. And here's our little bird feeder. And I give the birds food when it starts getting cold because I do notice that they eat insects. So I want them to eat insects and not the bird seed. So that's why I'm feeding them in the colder months when it's harder to find food. And it's pretty far from the house, so it doesn't serve as me seeing them eat, so that I see them eating in the garden. But here is a section that I provided. I just dug out the entire grass section here and used the sod and the roots. But then I created an area with lots of flowers, some sunflowers, cosmos, foxtails, and also some squash or potimarron growing in here. So this whole area is dedicated just to annual plants, and it will die back, and I'll leave it in the fall and winter, and then I'm gonna probably dig it out like I did here. So this is the newest raised bed. So you can see I dug out this space and created a raised bed here. Whoa, I forgot that I'm standing in front of the hornets. And I was like, bzz, bzz, bzz. Okay, so here I put in some cannas, ricinus, phormium, 2 bananas, some more phormium, and then some ground cover. So I'm hoping that I could get the ground cover to hold in as a retention wall, as I have in other spaces. And then here's just my space for wild grasses. I have tons of different grasses. And I have anemones. I have all my peonies. And I have, what else do I have here? Roses. And then I have this tree shrub that makes flowers that are just gorgeous. And I have a lot of beautiful grasses here. The red baron is spectacular. And then some of them I don't even remember the names. But here is the garden. And then I did plant a lot of morning glories because I like them. And then here is a space where it doesn't look like much now, but in the spring, there's hundreds and hundreds of bulbs that come up. I have muscari, I have ornamental garlic, and I just planted seeds all along here and threw my grass seeds here, the ornamental grasses. So it should be really cool. But this is a really nice area here. And then behind us we have the forest. Isn't that fantastic? And then that's our backyard, which I mowed for the biodiversity and left some clover. And the photinias, which are also throwing out new leaves again. I have pampa grass. We have fruit trees. And then on that side, you can't see it too well, but I have sunflowers and morning glories and lots of things that I planted there for additional beauty and for the bees. And then that's Alex's potager, which I'll have to do. Here's our guest apartment, which is separate from the house. And then here's lots of shrubs that I planted, hoping that it will grow tall and kind of cover the view of the neighbor. So coming back down here, showing you all these lovely things that are growing and the little seeds that I threw down in the ground that are coming up. There's my spiraeas. I do have hydrangeas, which don't seem to be doing well anywhere. Now these are doing good because they're not in direct sun all day. But the problem is the slugs attack. So the slugs end up eating back the leaves. Yeah, so not fun. This sad rose bush is a victim of an ant colony underneath. I noticed that the other day. So I'll have to dig it up. But then I do have some other roses. Roses don't do great for me. I mean, the leaves get the black spots, you know, the mildewy mold, whatever that is. But I do end up cutting them back. And so here's an example of some beautiful roses. And then I have the white mixed in with the two colored ones. And then ornamental garlic. I have gladiolas everywhere. And those are the peonies. But yeah, so I cut this back all the way down to here, and you can see it grew back up again. So roses, you know, they're okay, but they just live. So here's another look. Oh, I think I did not show the front here. And these bushes are California lilac, which grow really beautiful flowers in the spring. And they do bloom for a long time. And I think the birds must be eating the seeds because I don't see any more seeds and they're not on the ground. But these seeds must be appreciated by the birds. So I'm leaving them. And then along here I have lots of wisteria. I have 3 different colors of wisteria and then tons of purple grapes. And they're green now, but they will get ripe in September and they will be delicious because they're super sweet and they're really good Moscato or Muscat. And then there's that frelon or hornet trap with lots of things that Alex said he was going to change today because it's full. Okay, so just showing the final look of the garden. And you could see, I love the path. I came by here with the weed whacker the other day and just trimmed it down so it looks really cute with the grass and the clover. But anyways, this was done, a lot of this was done recently, all of this, so that's interesting to see how much it's grown over the growing season. And cool too, because it's grown a lot, so it's really nice. So it's pretty big. I mean, I know that a lot of you have seen my garden on Facebook when I put pictures or do shorts, but this is actually a 30, couldn't be 30 minutes. That's a long video. I'll have to see. Anyways, signing out. Hope you all have a great day. Don't forget to check out Tracy at Gone Tropicals YouTube channel. She's fantastic and super amazing. And George in George's Jungle Garden. Two very amazing YouTubers that I highly recommend you watch if you're into tropical gardening or even just to see amazing gardens. Okay, signing out. Ciao.